just created a big rectangle. It's the same width at the top as it is at the bottom. So essentially it's two pieces and it's a big rectangle, and I sewed them together. So if you wanted to make a dirndl skirt, all you would need to do is make two rectangles, sew them together. It would have to be big enough you have to decide how much gathering you want. The larger you make this circle in comparison to your waist, the more poofy and gathered it's going to be. It's that simple. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to put in 2 rows of basting stitch, which is the largest stitch on your machine. It's a number 5 on my machine. Your machine might go up to a 6. It might only go to a 4. You want to make it the largest you can. If it isn't very big, then you can baste it by hand. But we have a 5/8 inch seam allowance on this garment, so I want to sew either side of where that seam allowance is going to be. So I'm going to run a basting stitch 3/8 of an inch from the raw edge, and then 7/8 of an inch from the raw edge. And I'm going to leave long tails because what I'm going to eventually do is pull it. If you find that this is too big, and often something this size, I'll baste a set of stitches on one side and then baste a second set of stitches on the other side. So then I'm not like gathering stitches all the way around. So we'll be back with our garment basted, and then we're going to gather it. All right, here is my basting. I've done 2 rows of basting, and then I stopped at the seam allowance, and so I have all these threads here. I have 2 bobbin threads and 2 top threads for each of the seams on either side. One of the first things I want to do is make sure when I add it and start gathering it that my gathers are fairly balanced, and I can do that partly because I have side seams, but I also want to find the center front and the center back. That will help me balance it in quarters. So I'm going to match up my side seams just for a minute for this purpose and fold it so I have the center front here, and I'm going to mark that with a pin, and the center back, and I'm going to mark that with a pin. Then I can unpin these. So now I know I have my center front and my center back, and in this case the front and the back are the same size. Now here's the top that I'm working with, and I have a center back seam, so I don't have to worry about marking that, but I do want to find the center front. So again, I'm going to match up my side seams and then put a pin in the center front. So now I have quadrants that I can use to match up my garments gathering. So that makes it super easy. If you were going to do a skirt and just put a waistband on it, it would be the same process. You would have a waistband and you would quarter the waistband and you would quarter the skirt. And then that way, you don't have all the gathers on this side and no gathers on this side. So you want to make sure that they're balanced all the way around as best you can. We're going to put the right sides together and we're going to match up the center backs, the center fronts, and the side seams. Now my basting is on the side seams. So once I start pulling, I'm going to lose these references, these center fronts, so that's why I want to pin them now. So I'm going to take a thread from the top row of stitching and a thread from the bottom row of stitching, and I'm just going to tug on it. I'm going to tug on it. This is why you want long threads. As I kind of slide my fingers across the fabric, so this moves the gathers along. Now I have to look and see how much gathering I have. If I match up my side seams here from my top and my skirt and I line those up, I can see that I still need to gather this quite a bit more. So I'm going to go back and just tug on those strings. Until they fit, the pieces fit. Now they fit. Now I just want to make sure that my gathers are a little balanced here. So I'm happy with the way that they look. Pin it down. And because there are gathers in this, you're going to have like stitches, right? I mean, it's going to fold. You're going to see the gathers. That's the whole purpose of this. And I will finish the rest of the quadrants, and then I'm going to baste it just because, and see, I still have a little bit left there, so I'm just going to give this a tug. And I will baste it together because I want to make sure that I'm happy with the way it looks before I stitch it. So you can baste it and then open it up, take a look, make sure you're happy, and then stitch it. And that is so simple, right? That is the easiest way to make a gathered garment, a gathered skirt, a gathered piece of the dress, a gathered sleeve, a gathered neckline. It's all the same method. You do it all the same way. So I'm going to go finish this up, and when I come back, my skirt and my top will be sewn together.